Raghav Mehra did not notice Valentine's Day until it was already over. That was how most things passed in his life, quietly, without ceremony, leaving only the faintest trace behind. The office lobby was decorated in pink when he arrived for his night shift. Paper hearts taped crookedly to glass walls, a balloon drooping sadly near the security desk. Someone had drawn a smiling couple on the whiteboard and written love is in the air beneath it, the marker ink already fading. Raghav walked past without slowing down. He had learned not to look too closely at things that celebrated happiness. They had a way of turning accusatory if you stared long enough. At exactly 9 pm, he logged into his workstation. Headset on, screen glowing. A queue of calls waiting. Thank you for calling, he said, voice smooth and professional. How may I help you? For the next 6 hours, strangers poured their frustrations into his ears. Billing issues, delayed shipments, anger sharpened by alcohol and unmet expectations. Somewhere, people were fighting over dinner reservations and forgotten gifts. Raghav apologized on behalf of a company that didn't know he existed. When his shift finally ended, the city outside felt exhausted. The streets were quieter now, the kind of quiet that comes after too much emotion has been spent. Crumpled wrapping paper lay near trash bins, wilted roses slumped in plastic buckets. A torn Happy Valentine's banner dragged along the pavement, scraping softly as the wind nudged it forward. Raghav zipped up his jacket and started the walk home. He lived alone in a building that had once been considered up and coming but had settled instead into permanent mediocrity. The stairwell smelled of damp concrete and old cooking oil. The elevator took too long, so he used the stairs, counting his steps like he always did. Second floor, third, fourth, apartment 4C, home. Inside, the silence wrapped around him immediately. Raghav didn't turn on the lights, he didn't need to. He knew this apartment by memory, the slight unevenness of the floor near the kitchen, the loose switch in the bathroom, the couch cushion that dipped where he always sat. He dropped his bag near the door and kicked off his shoes. For a moment he simply stood there listening, the hum of the refrigerator, a car passing outside. Somewhere far away, laughter drifted upward and disappeared. Raghav exhaled slowly. Valentine's Day was officially over, or so he thought. There was a time when Raghav believed in endings, clean ones. He believed that when something was over, it stayed over. That people exited each other's lives the way they left rooms, closing doors, turning off lights, moving on. Ananya had shattered that belief without even trying. They met during their final year of college in a library that smelled like dust and overused air conditioning. She was sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by books, muttering angrily at her laptop. "You're going to sprain something," Raghav had said before thinking better of it. She looked up at him, eyes sharp, and replied, "I already have my patience." That was it. That was the beginning. Ananya had a way of making herself present, fully there. When she listened, she leaned in. When she laughed, it filled the space around her. When she was angry, it wasn't quiet or passive, it demanded engagement. Raghav, on the other hand, had always been good at retreating. The relationship was a slow collision between those two tendencies. At first it worked. Ananya pulled him outward. Raghav grounded her when she burned too brightly. They learned each other's habits, each other's silences. But time did what time always does. Responsibilities grew heavier. Raghav took a job that drained him. Ananya waited for him to come back to himself. He never fully did. Their last Valentine's Day together was painfully ordinary. No dramatic fight, no shouting. Just disappointment sitting between them like a third person at the table. "I don't need grand gestures," Ananya had said, staring into her untouched coffee. "I just need to know you're here." Raghav hadn't known how to explain the exhaustion that lived inside him. The numbness, the constant need to pull away before something asked too much. So he did what he always did. He left. 2 weeks later, Ananya stopped answering his calls. A month later, she vanished. The police called it a probable suicide. Witnesses had seen someone standing on the bridge late at night. A bag had been found near the railing, her ID inside her phone, shattered beyond use. No body, just absence. Raghav attended the memorial because he felt like he was supposed to. He stood at the back, hands clenched, listening to people talk about Ananya like she was already a finished story. She was so kind. She deserved better. She loved deeply. Raghav left before anyone could look at him too closely. He didn't cry, he didn't scream. He went home and erased her number. He told himself that was closure. Back in apartment 4C, Raghav finally turned on the lamp. The warm yellow light filled the room reluctantly, as if unsure it belonged there. He heated leftover food he didn't really want and ate it standing at the counter. He scrolled through his phone without reading anything. His reflection in the dark window looked older than he remembered. At 11:43 p.m., his phone buzzed. He ignored it. At 11:44, it buzzed again. Irritated, Raghav picked it up. Unknown number. Do you ever wonder what you left behind? His stomach tightened. He stared at the screen, thumb hovering. Spam, he told himself. Some algorithmically generated nonsense. He locked the phone and set it face down. At 11:46, the phone buzzed again. You used to hate being ignored. Raghav felt the air in the room change, not colder, heavier. Slowly, he turned the phone back over. Who is this? The reply came too fast. You know who I am. A pulse thudded in his ears. This isn't funny. Three dots appeared, disappeared. Then, you promised you wouldn't leave like that. Raghav stood. The room suddenly felt too small. Stop messaging me. The phone vibrated again. You were the last person to love me. The lights flickered. Once, then steadied. Raghav's breath came shallow now. Ananya, he whispered, hating himself for saying it. His phone buzzed. You said my name like that once before. Something creaked in the apartment. Not loud, just enough. Raghav backed toward the bedroom, heart hammering. This isn't possible, the reply arrived slowly. Deliberately, neither was being forgotten. The first knock came at 11:58 p.m., soft, polite, like someone afraid of disturbing him. Raghav froze. The second knock followed, a little firmer. His phone buzzed. I'm outside. The clock on the wall ticked forward. 11:59 p.m. Raghav's phone screen lit up one final time. You don't have to be alone anymore. The knocking resumed. Patient, unending. Raghav did not open the door. That decision, small, instinctive, felt like the last thing he had any control over. The knocking continued. Not louder, not angrier, just steady, patient. Each knock landed with the same measured rhythm, like someone counting seconds on the other side. Raghav backed away until his calves hit the edge of the bed. He sat down without meaning to, phone clenched in his hand, eyes locked on the front door, as if it might dissolve if he stared hard enough. The phone buzzed again. I know you're there. The apartment creaked, not from the door. From inside, Raghav turned slowly toward the hallway. The bathroom light flicked on by itself. A soft yellow glow spilled across the floor. No, he whispered. No, no, no. His phone vibrated. You always hated the dark. The knocking stopped. The silence afterward was worse. Raghav forced himself to stand. Every step toward the hallway felt wrong, like he was moving deeper into something that had already decided the outcome. The bathroom mirror reflected the empty hallway behind him. He leaned closer. His reflection looked off, not different enough to explain, just wrong, in a way he couldn't articulate. Another vibration. Do you remember the bridge? His stomach twisted violently. Images floated back. News reports, hushed conversations, the sound of rain against glass. The bridge where Ananya had last been seen, the one Raghav avoided whenever possible. You never came to look for me. Raghav's hands shook. I thought you were dead, he said aloud. The mirror fogged. A word appeared slowly, traced as if by an invisible finger. Waiting. Raghav stumbled backward, nearly slipping. The phone buzzed again. I still am. The knocking resumed. This time it wasn't polite. It wasn't aggressive either. It was familiar. Three quick taps, a pause, two slower ones, Ananya's knock. Raghav's breath hitched painfully. No, he said. You're not real. The phone vibrated. Heavier than before. You used to say that when you were scared. Memories pressed in from all sides now, uninvited and relentless. Ananya sitting cross-legged on the bed, braiding her hair while she talked about her day. Ananya asleep on his chest, breathing slow and steady. Ananya standing by the door, shoes already on, waiting for him to say something, anything to make her still. The knocking stopped again. Raghav stared at the door, heart pounding so hard it hurt. The handle turned, slowly, deliberately. The door didn't open. It didn't need to, because something else moved behind him. A presence? The air shifted, thick and suffocating, carrying the faint scent of jasmine and rain. Raghav turned. She stood at the far end of the hallway, Ananya, not as she had been at the memorial photos, not smiling, not peaceful. Her clothes were damp, clinging to her frame. Her hair hung loose and tangled, water dripping onto the floor beneath her feet. Her eyes were dark, not hollow, but heavy, filled with something dense and endless. You didn't even check the bridge, she said softly. Raghav couldn't scream, couldn't move, could barely breathe. I was scared, he managed. She tilted her head. I was too. She took a step forward. The floor creaked beneath her weight. Real. Too real. You told me you needed space, she continued. So, I gave you all of it. Another step. I stood there for hours. Raghav. Her voice wavered now, not angry, hurt. I thought you'd come. Raghav shook his head violently. I didn't know, he whispered. I swear I didn't know. Ananya stopped a few feet away. Her expression softened. That terrified him more than anything else. I know, she said. That's why this hurts so much. The clock on the wall ticked loudly. Too loudly, Raghav glanced at it. 11:59 p.m. The second hand twitched and stopped. Time froze. The city sounds outside vanished. The apartment felt sealed, cut off from everything else. Ananya reached out and brushed her fingers along the wall. Where she touched it, the paint darkened, water seeping outward like a spreading bruise. I tried to leave, she said quietly. I really did. Her eyes met his. But Valentine's Day, it's a promise, isn't it? Raghav swallowed. Ananya, please. She smiled sadly. Don't say my name like that, she said. You sound like you're about to disappear again. She stepped closer. The air around her was freezing now. You were the last person to love me, she said. That means you are the only one who can't leave. The phone slipped from Raghav's numb fingers and hit the floor. The screen cracked, still glowing, still typing. Stay. Raghav bolted. Instinct took over, dragging him toward the front door. His hand wrapped around the handle, yanking hard. It wouldn't budge. He pulled again, harder, nothing behind him. Ananya sighed. Running was always your favorite part, she said. The walls began to change. Photos appeared where none had been before. Moments from their relationship. Smiling selfies. Blurry pictures from late night scenes. Raghav didn't remember being photographed. They lined the hallway now, watching. You kept the memories, Ananya said. You just stopped feeling them. The floor grew slick beneath his feet. Water pooled around his shoes. Raghav turned back toward her. Tell me how to fix this, he pleaded. I'll do anything, she considered him, then shook her head gently. There's nothing to fix, she said. This is what love looks like when it waits too long. She reached for him. Her hand passed through his chest. Cold flooded his body. Memories poured in her memories. Standing alone on the bridge, calling his name. The water below endless and dark. The moment she realized no one was coming, Raghav screamed. When the neighbors heard noises that night, they described it as crying. Not shouting, not struggling, just crying. The kind that goes on for hours. The morning apartment 4C was silent, the door unlocked. The lights off, no sign of forced entry, no body, only a phone on the bed, unlocked. At exactly 12 a.m., February 15th, a message was sent from Raghav's number to one contact unknown. You were the last person to love me. Raghav did not wake up. He returned. That was the only way to describe it. There was no jolt, no gasp for air, no sudden awareness of a body. Instead, consciousness seeped back into him the way dampness creeps into walls, quiet, patient, irreversible. The first thing he noticed was the sound dripping, steady, somewhere close. He opened his eyes. The apartment was still there, but not as it had been. The walls were darker now, swollen in places, as if they had absorbed too much water and memory. The air smelled permanently of rain. The lights were on but dimmer, like they were filtered through something murky. Raghav sat up. His body felt wrong, heavy and light at the same time. He looked down at his hands. They were intact, solid, familiar. But when he pressed his thumb into his palm, the pressure lagged, like his body needed a moment to remember how to respond. He swung his legs off the bed. Water rippled across the floor. Only a thin layer, just enough to reflect the ceiling, just enough to drown something slowly. Ananya? He called. His voice echoed too much. The apartment answered back with silence, then a buzz. The phone on the bedside table, unbroken, uncracked, as if it had never fallen, the screen lit up on its own. You stayed. Raghav's chest tightened. What did you do to me? He whispered. The reply appeared letter by letter. What you couldn't do for me. Memory returned in fragments, not his, hers. Standing on the bridge, knuckles white against the railing, cars rushing past indifferent, her phone glowing in her hand, lighting up her face every time she checked for his name. Once, twice, 100 times, each second stretched longer than the last. The cold, the decision forming not as drama but as exhaustion. If he doesn't come now, the memory snapped away. Raghav gasped. He was on his knees now, hands submerged in shallow water, breath coming too fast. I'm sorry, he said. I didn't know, I didn't understand. The apartment creaked. Footsteps, soft, bare. Ananya appeared near the kitchen doorway. She looked calmer, less broken, still damp, still pale, but no longer dripping. You understand now, she said. That's why you can't leave. Raghav shook his head. This isn't love. She smiled faintly. It's what's left when love doesn't get answered. Time no longer moved correctly. Raghav noticed that first. The clock on the wall still read 11:59 p.m. The sky outside never changed. The city sounds came and went in loops, traffic, laughter, sirens, all repeating like a memory that couldn't progress. How long has it been? He asked. Ananya considered. Long enough. She gestured around them. Do you like it? She asked softly. I kept everything the same. Raghav looked around. The couch, the bookshelf, the photo frame now turned face up. Ananya and him, smiling into the camera, frozen in a moment that no longer existed. You trapped me, he said. She didn't deny it. You left me, she replied. The water on the floor rose another inch. Days or what felt like days passed. Raghav stopped trying to escape after the fifth attempt. The door never opened. The windows never broke. The balcony led only to fog and endless rain. Sometimes Ananya sat with him on the couch. Sometimes she watched him from the hallway. Sometimes she wasn't there at all, but he could feel her attention like pressure on the back of his skull. She never touched him, unless he begged. And sometimes when the silence grew unbearable, he did. That was the worst part. He began to crave her presence, not because he loved her, but because loneliness, stretched far enough, becomes terror, and terror will accept any comfort offered. The first message came 3 days later, not to him, from him. His phone buzzed, startling him. The screen showed an outgoing message, sent without his consent, to a number he didn't recognize. Happy Valentine's Day. Raghav stared at Ananya. What is that? He demanded. She tilted her head. I told you, she said. Valentine's Day is a promise. The phone buzzed again, a reply. Who is this? Raghav's breath caught. No, he said. Don't. Ananya knelt beside him, her face level with his. They don't have to be alone, she whispered. Not like I was. The phone typed again on its own. You already know me. The cycle began. Raghav watched it happen again and again. A message sent, a reply received. Curiosity turning into fear, fear turning into conversation, conversation turning into confession. Each person different, each story unique, but the ending always the same. They never arrived physically, not at first, instead they lingered. Voices leaking through calls, faces appearing briefly in reflections, sleepless nights, unexplained dampness, and then silence. Their number would go dark, their presence would fade, and something new would appear in the apartment, a photo on the wall, A pair of shoes by the door. A memory that wasn't his. How many, Raghav asked once. Ananya smiled. As many as it takes. He tried to warn them. Whenever he could wrestle control long enough, he typed, "Don't reply, block this number please." Sometimes it worked, sometimes the message sent anyway. Scene. Ananya watched him with something like pity. "You're still trying to save people," she said. "You never tried that hard with me." That hurt more than the haunting. Eventually, Raghav stopped fighting, not because he forgave himself, but because the water reaches his chest, breathing became difficult, thought became slow. His reflection in the dark TV screen grew faint. Ananya held his face gently. "You won't disappear," she said. "I won't let that happen again." The phone buzzed one final time. A reply from the latest number. "I miss you." Ananya smiled. "See," she said, "love always comes back." She kissed Raghav's forehead, cold, endless. They say Valentine's Day is about connection, about reaching out, about not letting love go unanswered. But some messages aren't asking, they're claiming. And if one year at 11:57 pm your phone buzzes with a message that knows too much, if it says, "You were the last person to love me," do not reply. Because somewhere in an apartment that never dries, someone is waiting to make room for you, and Valentine's Day never ends.